Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me here in my cozy corner of the internet. In today's video, I'm sharing my latest Sims 4 speed build, which is an American inspired small town main street. This build is part of my XSweetSimlishX save, which I have a playlist dedicated to on my channel. There's loads of little details and so much personality that I've tried to sprinkle throughout this build. So if you want to see the end result, stick around because I promise you bestie, it's a good one. First things first, I would like to start off by saying that I am using custom content in this build, as I am throughout my whole entire save file. I don't think my save file will be available to you beautiful simmers just because of the sheer amount of CC that I am using. It would be so time consuming for me to create a master list of every piece of CC that you'd need to download, but I will make some builds and some families available through my Tumblr page. You'll be able to find the link for the list of CC for this build in the description below. It will take you to my Tumblr where I've listed all the pieces used. You can download this build through the gallery as well, but obviously you need to download the CC first. This build is called Willow Creek Main Street Parade, and my EA ID is XSweetSimlishX. Guys, when you're downloading this, if you are downloading this and if you are downloading all the CC, please remember to have the include custom content option ticked on your gallery when you're searching for this build. Otherwise, the gallery will not show it to you and it will be hidden. You won't be able to find it. So you need to make sure that that's ticked. So now that all those T's and C's are out of the way, I want to talk more about the build. So my initial inspiration for this build came from like those pretty picturesque American small town main streets you see in movies while scrolling on Pinterest. So think of like Gilmore Girls or A Quiet Place, even Legally Blonde. Like, you know, when she goes to the hairdressers, yeah, Legally Blonde. So I actually have a reference for this build, which I'll pop up on the screen right now. I think I did a pretty good job at making it a reality and like realistic as possible in The Sims. Also, I had a whole Pinterest board from which I took little nuggets of inspiration from like tons of different photos to create this one particular building. I just really wanted a cozy little spot that has a genuine sense of community in my game. In my save file, Willow Creek is meant to be a tiny little town where everyone knows everyone, and if you're going to Main Street, you're probably going to bump into a few friends or someone who's known you your entire life. Going out isn't just picking up your morning coffee, it's like a social event. You know you're going to bump into someone that you know, so you need to be prepared to talk. So I feel like the tininess of this build really fed into that, and it just gave me all the feels and all the vibes, and it makes me super happy to think about my Sims walking down to Main Street, Willow Creek Main Street Parade, bumping into one of their friends or someone who's known them since they were born and just saying hello and getting their coffee and going to be a little community. That makes me feel so happy. Let's talk about the first shop that I'm creating here. If you haven't already guessed, this is a flower shop, and I've never really built anything like this before. With the Get to Work EP, I always focus on the fact that you can own your own store and run your own business, but I often forget that you can actually go shopping and set things for sale on the lot. So I thought it would be such a fun idea to make a plant nursery or a florist that your sim can own or come to visit and pick up some new leafy friends or a bouquet for someone special. I just thought that was really cute idea, and a new gameplay aspect as well. I'm trying to diversify my gameplay in The Sims so it doesn't become dry and crusty, and I'm just trying not to get bored in my game. I'm doing everything I can to make my game feel one, lively, and two, fun. I think this build will actually do a pretty good job at adding those aspects into my game, and I'm so excited to jump in and actually play in this world because I'm getting excited about it now. It's making me feel like every time I look at it, I feel so proud of the world that I created, and I'm itching to finish it and finalize it and actually play with the Sims and play on the lots that I've made. I just like to say that I would actually make this into a community space and pay for a bartender or chef to make food and drinks whilst I'm on the lot, as opposed to making it a retail space or a restaurant or a cafe, or maybe you'd even make it into a lounge considering the game bar that we have upstairs. But for me, I think turning it into a community space makes the most sense in terms of my Sims are not really restricted in what they can do. I mean, obviously they can't order like it's a restaurant, but if you wanted to use the lot as a restaurant, you could easily just change it in Manage Worlds. But for overall gameplay and actually having the lot feel alive, I think making it into a community space makes the most sense because Sims will still load in. You can use all of the activities and skill building tools that I've placed onto the lot as well. Yeah, in my mind that just makes the most sense. I don't know if you guys agree, but if you don't, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what lot type you'd used for like optimal usage of this space. But yeah, the flower shop was something that I really enjoyed making and something that I haven't done, so it was really nice to see that come to life. With the cafe that we're moving on to now, I imagine this family has owned this cafe for about 2 to 3 generations. I designed this as the perfect spot for your Sims to grab a coffee, make friends, or even like work on their novels. I basically created the perfect comfy spot that I'd love to visit to work on my social media projects or get out of the house when I'm working from home. I did everything I possibly could to make this look as 90s but like chic as possible. If you don't know, the world that I'm creating right now, well actually my entire save file, is meant to be set in the 90s, early 2000s, so I'm trying to use as little electronics as possible and make the furnishing reflect everything that was in my early childhood. So my early childhood consisted of really dark walls, like patterns everywhere, dark wood, carpets. This is what reflects 90s to me. I don't know if it was the same in America because I grew up in England. I'm English, but I feel like the interior trends would have been the same throughout like the whole Western world. If I'm wrong, please do let me know in the comments below, and if you feel that there's anything that I am missing for like rural, you know, suburban America in the 90s, please let me know. I'd love to add it into my save. With this build, I actually had really big issue with the CC booth that I was using. Every time I added a table to it, my game sort of froze and I couldn't pick up or delete anything, so I had to filter out all of the CC and figure out what table it was that was making my game become a bit buggy, and I deleted it, and then after that it was fine. I guess that's one downside of playing with CC. It can just freak out your game sometimes. Going back to the owners of this cafe, like I said, I feel like it's been owned by a family for 2 to 3 generations and it's a staple in the community. So if you was to play with this lot being a retail space, there's actually a small flat upstairs or apartment upstairs which is perfect for Sims or a family who wants to live where they work. Like maybe your Sim has bought the cafe off of this family and you don't want to jump between loading screens. I hate loading screens. I hate having to own a bakery on one lot and having a house on another lot. I'd much rather just live on the lot that I work on. That's personal preference, and if you like to play that way as well and you absolutely despise loading screens, I recommend that you live in the space that I've given you upstairs. That's also something that I used to do a lot when Get to Work came out. It's an OP technique that I used and I just was working on the lot that I lived on and it was great. I loved it. We're just moving on to the staff room in this build. I made a staff room because I feel like your Sims need somewhere for their staff to sit and eat lunch and also make those delicious cupcakes that they serve in this cafe. But honestly, this was just a space filler. I didn't really know what to put down here, but if your Sim does decide to live on this lot, this is just extra household space. You can remove the archway, make it into a little downstairs living room or something else for your Sim to use, like an activities room, something. I don't know, bestie. You can do whatever you want with this room. It was literally just pure filler. Oh, and also there's a door that goes to the back of the lot, which is also really handy, which you could use as a front door to access your apartment directly, so I thought that was really nice. Moving on to the restaurant, I know I've mentioned a few times that I wanted to add so many lot types and potential gameplay options for my Sims when playing on one lot because, as I said, I hate loading screens. So I went in and added a restaurant. I always knew I wanted to add one to this lot, but I don't think I was initially thinking or envisioning what I created in the end, but it turned out so cute and I really do love it. So the restaurant has a completely different vibe to the rest of the little mini shops. It's a Mediterranean inspired restaurant. I wanted this space to feel warm and inviting, like a spot where your Sims could celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, or just a nice dinner out with friends or family. The colour palette and decor really bring bold colours that I feel transport you back into the 90s. Like if I was to go into a Spanish restaurant or a Moroccan restaurant or even an Indian restaurant, they would have such bold colours on their walls during this time period from what I remember anyway. There was a really famous Indian restaurant in North London, like near where I grew up, and every time I'd look into the windows, what I made in this build, it literally looks the same. I know India's not in the Mediterranean, but you know what I'm saying, bestie, like restaurants go all out to bring the vibes of their country they're representing or the cuisine that they're representing, and I feel like this little restaurant here does exactly that. Also, side note, I feel like the food would absolutely slap here. I don't know what they're selling, but I want to go eat here. I did have a little difficulty fitting tables in, and to be honest, I don't know if there's enough room for your Sims to walk around and actually use this building, but I will play test it and I'll let you guys know in the edit. But I hope it does work, and if it doesn't, I will tweak it and make sure it's functioning for you guys. So I thought the open arches was such a pretty idea for this build. For some reason, it really reminded me of that Indian restaurant that I was talking about earlier. And I actually realized when I did this that restaurants do always utilize archways like a lot. You might not realize it, but when you're next in like a small family run restaurant, look to see if they have a knocked through wall or a big archway that you just view as an opening and haven't really registered that it's an archway. My mind hadn't registered until I created this, and it was like a really big eureka moment. It really was, besties. So now we're finally moving on to the final build on this lot. Upstairs, tucked away, there's a dimly lit karaoke and card bar. I imagined this to be a bit of a hidden gem and a place for older Sims to unwind, belt out their favorite tunes. And although gambling isn't a thing in The Sims, I imagine them maybe winning a few simoleons in a card game or two. While I was building this, my boyfriend actually just arrived home from the gym, and he was actually helping me decorate this room. I told him that I wanted it to feel quote unquote like that one scene from Rush Hour. Gosh, I'm really showing my age here, but yes, that one scene from Rush Hour was my inspo for this interior. I wanted a shady but semi-bougie hangout for adults of a tiny town, and I think I did well to achieve that. I'd also like to say I'm so sorry for how dark this became once I placed the black carpet. I could see it like bright as day on my monitor, but for some reason the recording software struggled to pick it up. But once I had the lights, I feel you can see it a little more. Also, final note on the karaoke bar, I would have loved to have pool tables to add to this room. I feel that would have been like the cherry on top. So EA, I don't know what you're doing, but give us some pool tables in The Sims 4. It's not that hard. We've got ping pong, we've got card tables. Give us pool tables. I'm gonna start a petition. I really will. If that item was an option in The Sims 4, I probably would have added it, and looking back, I probably should have added a jukebox, but I forgot they exist in the game until just now. So no jukeboxes, but you could definitely place one if you download this lot. On a brighter note, we do have a fish tank and some lockers and also a toilet finally on this lot. I just realised I didn't add toilets anywhere, so all the Sims are probably going to be fighting over this one cubicle, but I feel like that's okay. It is what it is. On to the final piece of this puzzle, that is Willow Creek Main Street Parade. I added a car park. I initially wanted to add a little like leisure park back here, but in the end I thought a car park would be more fitting and overall the best option for this build. I used a mixture of debug and CC cars, which I think looks very pleasing on the eyes, if I do say so myself. And I also added in a little ticket machine from City Living Debug, which is very, very modern and made me a tiny bit sad, but I think we can and we should look over that for storytelling purposes. Thank you for understanding. So that basically wraps up this build. This is Willow Creek Main Street Parade. It's a charming little build, and I hope you guys really enjoyed listening to my thought process and watching it be made item by item. Remember to check the description below for the full list of CCUs in this build, and if you liked this video, I'd really appreciate if you left me a like or even subbed and joined my cozy corner of the internet. Thank you so much for watching this far along. If you're still here, I really appreciate and love you, and I will see you in my next save file video. See you soon. Bye bye.